Hello, comic book guys and gals, and welcome to Comic Mag Musings. I'm your handsome yet humble host, Bill Miller. All right, good to see you, Las Cruces. How you doing, Sly? Always good to see you, sir. We are going to hang out for a bit. We'll do a comic book haul. We'll do an unenveloping. And I'll give you some reminders about some upcoming streams that we have on the docket for October. All right, so first, we'll start out with a comic book haul. We've got Chilling Tales of Horror, Volume 1, Issue number 3, just in time for Halloween. Oh boy, that looks like James right there going for the cookie jar, doesn't it? Isn't that what that looks like? What's going on, James? Oh, you're in the chat. Good to see you, sir. So this is a Stanley Publications magazine, similar to Eerie Pubs, in that they did reprints or redraws of reprints. Some good cover art, but in my opinion, not as good as the Eerie Pub stuff. But this is from 70, what? Probably 1970s, my guess. All right, what else do we have? We've got Cracks for Monsters Only, issue number 10. I'm going to say that cat's got some issues. Cali Comics, how you doing? Who let Man Cave Comics in here? By gosh, where are my blue wrenches when I need them? Oh, wait a minute. They're trying to kick out the host. Cry of the Banshee, the blood-curdling sound that kills. Bonus feature, Basil Rathbone, Demon of Distinction, and Bloodthirst, the fiendish monster insert. Scream and scream again, so weird, we guarantee a scream a second. Fantastic. So definitely a pretty cool cover. Gray Morrow with a cover. Let's see if we can get it in there. All right, what else do we have? Oh, it's not Man Cave's adventure. It's Man's Adventure. Volume 2, issue number 12. These are fantastic, lowbrow, spicy pulps with some illustrations here and there, put out by Stanley, I think, Stanley Publications. And this is from, I don't know, Volume 2, probably the 60s. The drink that drives you love crazy. No crime, no horror, no pain was too much for the bloody beast of East Berlin. Man Cave Adventures for your other channel. Be like watching paint dry. Ahoy, Captain. Good to see you. Even the men of the Foreign Legion recoiled in terror when they met the gun girls of West Africa. A brand new report on sex in our high schools. Man's Adventure. Of course, whenever Man Cave misbehaves, which is quite often, that's his timeout area right there. So Man's Adventure, Volume 2, issue number 12. All right. Now we do have an Eerie Pub. This is Murder Tales, issue number 10. So they did try their hand at a couple of crime magazines as well. Of course, Erie Publications redrew and reprinted a lot of pre-code horror stories. So that was Myron Fass. Go back to bed, Rayman, you rascal. That was Myron Fass's company. He did a lot of magazines, but the horror magazines, since he was a pre-code horror artist himself, they would have their artists redraw the stories. They would take different stories out of different issues. This one's just for Sly. We have Real Men, Volume 3, issue number 4. A little bit tough to see. These shiny bags that they put it in. Got a nice bend in there. Pretty good art. What's it say? Facts, names, places. I have a rendezvous with $19 million in Spanish gold. Boy, I'd like to have that rendezvous. Blind date with killer claws. Who is history's most successful prostitute? I would say Man Cave. I ride with the Desert Raiders in today's war in the Near East. Birth control gadgets that kill. Fantastic. All right. That is a real man for you, in case you rascals don't know. All right, let's put it back. Prezio is the cover artist. I'll have to look that up. All right, we have Real Men, Volume 5, Number 5. They might want to be careful. I think she might be suckering that German soldier. It's almost like it's a trap. That's right. The straw poll is coming out later. Kenneth Bird, good to see you. This says, a practicing attorney's down-to-earth report, sex and the law. He found his island paradise a stone's throw from Broadway. Piet Van Vlin's Hudson Valley harem. Football bonus, a nationally famed football writer says, I'll take the pros. And only the corpses of the tortured dead escaped from the Nazi prison until a woman provided the key to freedom. Johnny Drew's 100 Miles of Hell. So, fantastic cover. All right. What else do we have? We have issue number 2 of Tales from the Zombie. Tales of the Zombie, my mistake. Beautiful Boris Vallejo painted cover. And everyone knows if you're a zombie, you're built like a brick outhouse. We'll go with outhouse. So Tales of the Zombie, issue number 2. Boris Vallejo is right up there among my favorite cover artists. All right, what else do we have? We've got Tales of Voodoo, Volume 4, Issue number 1. And these are it's Johnny Bruck covers. It's a German artist, and Myron Fass bought a lot of the rights to his cover art, which was previously published in Europe, and threw them on Tales of Voodoo, among other Eerie Publications covers. There's some on Weird, some on the science fiction ones, because they're mainly science fiction oriented. Vic Prezio, there you go. Thank you, sir. All right. We have Terrors of Dracula, issue number 1. Fantastic cover art. Don't know who this is. Definitely, I mean, it's Eerie Publications. I don't know who the cover artist is. The majority of them were done by Bill Alexander. Not the Bill Alexander that painted, landscapes and stuff in the 70s and 80s, but Bill Alexander, the African-American comic book artist, longtime artist, worked in the Golden Age, but he was the primary cover artist for the Eerie Publications. The story of how Bill got his bride. Hey, you do what you got to do. All right. And I did see your question, Callie. I think it was Callie that asked. I do have some Psycho issues. I think they'll be in a video coming out next week after that, something like that. But prior to that, I don't think I had any. What's going on, Lead Paint? Good to see you. We've got Terrors of Dracula, issue number 3. With, of course, a lot of people have never seen him. There's Jackson, the Jackson Roy Kirk right there, and all of his Norland splendor. One of the few times he was caught in portrait. Again, I don't know who the cover artist is. Bill Alexander did a lot. Chick Stone did some. Dick Ayers did some. And then a whole slew of Argentine artists did a lot of the interior stories, and some of them did some of the covers as well. Ezra Jackson may have done a couple of covers too. He certainly did some of the interior art. We have Weird Tales of the Macabre, issue number 1. So this completes my series, since there are only 2 issues in this magazine series. But this one's in pretty good shape. All right. And last for this haul, we have The World of Sherlock Holmes. Wonderful painted cover. It's from 1977. It's from the publisher Mystery Magazine, which is also a Myron Fass imprint. Jacob, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. All right, we will, at the end, we'll go through and go over those again. I got to get this magazine in here. Yeah, I don't know where Jackson is. He's MIA right now. That rascal. A reminder, if you didn't know, that on the Alex, good to see you, sir, on the 15th, so Sunday, 2 weeks from now, on my channel, I'll be joined by Metarog Roger for our long-awaited, eagerly anticipated retrospective of the Silver Age series Captain Marvel. So we'll cover Superheroes 13, 14, and then Captain Marvel issues 1 through 21. That's kind of the end before the 2 or 3 year break before they kind of resume the series with issue number 22. It is warm in here, so we'll hit that fan. All right, so last Sunday, the 23rd, was yours truly's birthday. And Mrs. Musings was kind enough to get me a birthday gift. So she got me the Incredible Hulk, issue number 102, for my very own. So super excited about it. The grade I definitely try to target for Silver Age, Bronze Age. So I couldn't be happier, over the moon about having that. So thank you to Mrs. Musings. "51 tough years, none so tough as the last 4 or 5 since I've had the misfortune of knowing Man Cave Comics. But I'm making it just a little bit each day. Every wake up is a victory." All right, now we're going to do, for the last part, we're going to do an unenveloping. So we've got our trusty box cutter made for right-handers. She is not good enough to you. You are a saint for putting up with her. Thank you, James. You're too kind. You're too kind. That is true. Thanks, Las Cruces. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sly. All right, let's cut into this rascal. I think I know what it is. I think it's an Erie Pub magazine. I have no idea which one it is, but I think I do know that. Might be wrong. All right. Well, I don't know. All right, we'll see. Okay, we got it out of there. We've got some cardboard backing. Well, it is an Erie Pub, because here's the back of it. There's the art on the back. Most of them had art on the back covers. That's true. I try not to. It's always a challenge, Alex. Well, I keep them for a long time. I got a box here I've had for probably a half a year. And so my advanced age and the amount of time that they're here, I legitimately couldn't tell what's in what. So it does make for a better surprise when doing the unboxing. They do not want to make this one easy on me. It's almost like they're daring me to cut into the book. All right, let's get the tape off. I'll have to bag and board it, but oh, that is fantastic. It is Terrors of Dracula from 1981 in Eerie Publications comic magazine. So just for the heck of it, let's open this guy up and see what we got inside. All right. So this is from May of 1981. Nick, good to see you, sir. How are you? Uh-oh. That's no good, but I tell you what, that beats many of the alternatives. That beats replacing the engine or the transmission any day, Alex. I can tell you that much. Yeah, part of it probably is, James. So Carl Burgos he also did some of the early cover art for Eerie Publications, but he was the main publisher packager of the magazines, and he would often do paste ups. So he would take a previous cover and maybe change the girl's hair, put in a monster here that wasn't there in the previous one, take out somebody here who wasn't the previous one. And so there's a lot of deja vu with the Eerie Pubs covers. You're like, I know I've seen that before. And it's because you have. And especially at the end, they did that a lot, which is a shame, right? Because it really it lessens the artistic integrity of the covers from which they swipe. So obviously there's a story about Man Cave in here. Head full of snakes. What else we got? Rip the flesh and drink the blood, then enter the house of vampires and live forever. The shock of naked horror in blacklight terror. Plus, from the grave below, devil zombie, the skin crawlers. Gruesome is the thing with head full of snakes. All right, let's see what we got. That might be my favorite Eerie Pubs cover. That on the inside of the front cover, that's a reprint of a previous cover in black and white. And all these stories are, as I said, they're black and white. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Because I don't think they... I bet a lot of the original art was destroyed, too. And some of it was probably beaten to heck with the cut and paste efforts of Carl Burgos. No, he's Alex. Alex Big Blues brother. Wait a minute. That's you. Yeah, absolutely. It might be. That's probably a reprint of a previously used cover as well, James. House of the Vampire is the first story. So what they did was they would take defunct comic book companies and they would get their they did a lot of they would get their pre-code horror stories. They did a lot of Fox publications, and they would have an artist redraw them, sometimes 3 and 4 different times over the years. So often, not oftentimes, but sometimes they would have the same story redrawn 3 or 4 times by 3 or 4 different artists. And so they were definitely into recycling. If Myron Fass thought he could make money at it, he would do it. Some were better efforts than others. The story artist would stick very close to the original. They'd have the original as a reference. In other cases, they would get creative with it, use different camera angles, retell the story to a certain extent with different images than the original art had. So oftentimes they're definitely worth a read. And there's the Rob Zombie brother that Nick was referring to. But they would definitely gore them up. You can imagine, as gory as some pre-code horror was, it wasn't enough for Carl Burgos and Myron Fass. And they would up the ante. Lots of blood, popping eyeballs, severed limbs, flesh torn away. That was a Burgos and Ezra Jackson specialty, to have the flesh torn away from the cheek so that the teeth and skull were exposed. And sometimes the story would be continued on the back cover. That's not the case here, but sometimes that would be the case. I don't think I've had to. Have I had any old boys tonight? I can't recall. That's not spoopy artwork, Alex. Spooky maybe, but spoopy, I don't know about. All right, so we'll do a quick summary. So for my birthday, I got from Mrs. Musings Incredible Hulk number 102, CGC 9.2 with white pages. So I'm very excited about that. For our unboxing, we did Terrors of Dracula, and Eerie Publications work toward the very end, when they revived it after a couple years, just for a few issues. And we got some Stanley Publications books as well. Chilling Tales of Horror, all very appropriate for Halloween. We've got For Monsters Only from the folks that brought you the Mad Knockoff Cracked. Everyone was trying to get into the horror game in the late 60s, early 70s, before the implosion in the mid to late 70s. Man's Adventure, a spicy pulp with some great, this is Stanley Publications, with some great cover art. But really, Warren was the standard bearer back then, and everyone was kind of chasing them. Skywald was pretty darn good too. Callie had mentioned Psycho. That was a Skywald magazine, as well as Scream and Nightmare. Really good stories, really good art, great covers. Murder Tales, one of the 2 or 3 crime offerings from Erie Publications. They didn't do too well. Just won a couple issues. I think he had more success with true crime versus reprinting crime stories. Real Men, a Stanley publication. Another Real Men with an excellent, beautiful painted cover. We've got the incomparable Boris Vallejo with Tales of the Zombie, issue number 2. Obviously, in the 70s, Marvel jumped in, right, to the horror magazine game as well. Tales of Voodoo, the Johnny Bruck cover. Gosh, what was it? I can't remember the publication most of those were published in. There was a long-running European character that he did lots and lots of covers for, that Myron Fass stole a bunch for. Hello, hello. How are you, Brandon? Good to see you. Perry. Gosh, what is it? Perry. I can't remember. Perry something. It's the guy's name. That was the character. And Bruck did a whole bunch, like hundreds of covers. And Fass purchased the rights to several of them, mainly for his science fiction magazines, which he had a couple of. But he also put them on some of the horror magazines as well. Terrors of Dracula, another Erie publication. You'll have to sweeten that deal, Ray, man. Brando. That's it. Yep, Perry Rodin. That's right. That's exactly it. Thank you, Sly. That's what they were originally created for. And you can definitely tell because the ones that they use from Bruck always have a science fiction bent to them. Another Terrors of Dracula. Go forth, slake your thirst, then sleep forever, vampire. Featuring the evil, Trip. The evil Trip. Tomb of Ice. Satan's Demons. Claws of Horror. The Bloody Witch. What more do you want? And Weird Tales of Macabre. This is issue 1. I have issue 2. So that's all there is. Very good magazine, but this is Atlas. And they got in right when everybody was getting out. So they got in when Bronze Age horror just started imploding and people just weren't interested anymore. So it's a shame because they had some really good offerings. And then not horror related, but Erie Publications related. The World of Sherlock Holmes from 1977. Really great cover. I can't remember. I think this might have been from a Spanish artist or an Argentinian artist. I'm not sure which. But I'd have to look. I can't recall. And that is it. That will do it for the unboxing, the birthday gift, and the comic magazine haul that we have. Very true. Horror covers are fantastic. What's the top line say on Weird Tales? It says, "How long has it been since you were really scared?" Well, if it's been too long, then you're in for a treat with this read. And they are really good stories. Yeah, I mean, their interior art and cover art could compete with Warren, as could Skywall. But Warren, really, Vampirella was the only magazine to kind of limp along after the horror implosion of the late 70s. So, and then, even then, right, the guy who was the partner with Stanley from Stanley Publications, Harris, he's the one who bought the rights to Vampirella, Creepy, Eerie during the Warren bankruptcy in the 80s. But then James Warren sued back and he was able to get the rights back for Creepy and Eerie, but not Vampirella. And so Harris, I think, then sold Vampirella to some other company. That's not very nice, James. Oh, wait a minute. You mean because of the scary content in the horror comics and magazines? All right. I appreciate that. That makes sense. True story. Until us Kentucky folks started watching comic magazines. That's true. It's macabre, isn't it? Macabre? That's how I always learned to say it. All right. A reminder again that on the 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so Sunday the 15th, 2 weeks from now, I will be having a live stream with the inscrutable Metarog Roger for our retrospective on the Silver Age run of Captain Marvel. So we will cover Superheroes 13 and 14, and then we'll probably do those ones kind of quickly. And then we'll cover Captain Marvel 1 through 21. So they had a couple year hiatus after issue number 21. So it's a natural break there. Oh, that is cool. I don't like that channel. I don't watch him. He's a little too much for me, but I'm aware of the Comic Tropes channel. Also, probably a week after that, around the 21st or the 22nd, Roger is having a Halloween stream on his channel. So it will be similar to the one he had last year, where I will be on there. I think Dope Comics will be on. Bub will probably be on there. Several other people. Rayman might be on there. I'm not sure. Ray, were you going to be on that? Where he'll have some themes, and we'll have to show a horror-related comic that best exemplifies that Halloween-related theme. So it should be lots of fun. It was fun last year. It should be fun this year as well. All right. Well, that will do it. Thank you, guys. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening. And always remember, we're taking over the world one comic book at a time.